This episode is sponsored by Property Filter. Find great deals faster.
Hello and welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast, sponsored by us at Property Portfolio Building. This podcast is designed by real people on their journey to achieving financial freedom, and we'll focus on people who've either already attained it, who are joining us on that journey, or maybe a specialist topic that can help you build your technical knowledge to achieving and maintaining that financial freedom. We hope you enjoy it.
Hi folks, and welcome back to the Financial Freedom Podcast. Today is one of our 6 rounds with. Before we get into that, we'd like to just invite you to like and subscribe on whatever platform you are watching this on. Now, normally in our 6 rounds interviews, we are interviewing somebody who is either on the journey to or somebody who's already obtained their financial freedom. Today, we've got somebody who has not only been on that journey, obtained it, but has then helped more people than I can possibly count obtain their own financial freedom journey. And that is our own mentor, and a very warm welcome to Simon Zutshi. What an honour.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, guys. We're really pleased to be here at last.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is the first time you've done something with our brand.
I think
I think it's about 1,000 to 1.
Yeah, that's about a fair ratio, I think.
Yeah, that's agreed.
Great to have you in the guest seat anyway.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And
be gentle.
We will not be. No, I'm joking. Yeah. So we start with a couple of facts, because obviously we just assume everybody knows you. But let's introduce you anyway. So founder of the Property Investors Network, commonly known as PIN, lowercase.
Yes, indeed. There's a reason for that. But
yeah, there is
Started in 2003.
Yes, 2003.
So it's the longest serving, isn't it?
Yeah, when I started, there was no networking anywhere, which sounds crazy now.
Yeah.
No networking at all. So it was one meeting in Birmingham, and then a few around the country. Then now it's 45 plus, including Netherlands as well.
Yeah.
I was there a couple of weeks ago. Actually.
Yeah, it's great. It's great out there. Yeah.
Author of the book that I read and everybody that I know has read, Property Magic,
Indeed,
which is coming up to its 6th edition.
It's in its 6th edition now, and at some point this year, it will get to the 7th one.
The 7th edition. And my caveat was you had to change your...
Yes, I've got to change my picture.
Your photo. Yeah.
The picture is a bit of an old picture on there.
Edition 1.
So I'll definitely get one with the beard.
One with the beard.
With the beard. Yeah. It's cool, your beard, I have to say.
People won't recognise me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Founder of Crowd Property, of course, which has hit a pretty significant lending milestone recently. 450 million.
450 million pounds loans. Yeah, actually lent. Yeah,
and
over 500 million agreed. So.
It's incredible. It's incredible from day. Like, when did it start? When did you?
2030.
So wow. It's such a big number, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're thinking about what it does, it started obviously just with crowd funding, and now I think some institutional people involved.
Yeah, we have. Yes, it was just individuals, because I was doing bigger projects myself, and quite a lot of masterminders were finding development projects, but running out of their own cash.
Yeah.
And I suddenly realised that I was working with private lenders who would lend me chunks of multiples of 50k. But I thought a lot of people in my database from PIN didn't have that kind of money, but would love to get a better return. And so we created this FCA regulated platform for lenders and borrowers to work together, and started with a crowd, and most of the deals were people within the PIN network, but it's much bigger than that now.
Yeah, it's growing a lot.
We've got institutions, family offices, pension companies, put the money into the crowd.
Yeah, it is an incredible part. And the one thing I always took away from crowd property was you ring them and they're property people.
Yes.
That's the difference in my opinion.
That was one of the things. I mean, I don't think it's, depending on what kind of deal, I think it's always the cheapest, maybe not always the fastest, but actually, if there's a problem, you want someone who understands property rather than rustling for the repossession papers. They can actually help you out. And when COVID came, a lot of developers got into difficulty, and the team has really worked with those people to deliver those projects, which has benefited everyone. And I think that is the major difference, because most lenders, even if they don't get property.
Yeah, they're doing a tick box, aren't they, a lot of the time?
If you go a bit more creative, that's actually really clever. If it doesn't tick the boxes, or they don't lend, or they want to lend less and charge you more, and you think, well, we need creators. That's what it was all about.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah. And we just have to note on the background and the setup, by the way, that this isn't our normal setup. We are in a more professional studio. Because obviously when Simon says, yes, I'll do your podcast, we book a podcast studio.
I'm honoured.
It's a venture south.
Standards. That's great.
Of the standards.
I like it. Really nice though.
It's a good set.
That's cool. So welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast. We start with an icebreaker, which is something that people might not know about you, and that you are part of the magic circle.
Indeed.
Hence the reason property magic.
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
So, well, I was really, really shy when I was young. And someone gave me a Paul Daniels magic trick.
Nice.
When I was 7 or something.
Blue box has a black and white wand.
It was just, no, it was a little single trick.
All right, okay.
But I loved it. And actually, my dad, who was a GP, his partner was an amateur magician and a member of the Magic Circle. And so he told my dad about this magic shop in London called Davenport's. And so I used to save my pocket money. And my dad was a really smart guy. He said, look, any money you save for your hobby on magic, because magic's really expensive, the props are expensive. Yeah. So he actually got me into saving, and I'd save my pocket money. We'd once a year go to the shop, buy some magic tricks, and I kind of got into that. And by the time I was 12, 13, I was doing kids' parties. If you know you have kids, it's very tiring. We have 2 hours of a load of 6, 7-year-olds, so the parents could sit at the back, have a glass of wine, watch me entertain them for 40 minutes. Jobs are good. Yeah. And so that gave me a lot of confidence. I think it's one of the reasons I like speaking, because I've got that confidence, I guess. And when it came to write my book, I said, what should I call it? And I think the analogy is that magic tricks, when you know how they're done, they're actually very, very straightforward. Yeah. And actually, that's why you don't tell people, because it kind of shatters the illusion. Yeah. In the same way, property investing might seem like this black art, but when you know what to do, it's actually quite straightforward. It's not easy, but it's straightforward. And so that's the analogy.
It seems like magic, doesn't it? To other people, when you do, if you don't.
What do you mean you can replace your income in a year or two? How on earth can you do that? Yeah. It does seem like magic, but it's not.
So I said I had a little thing on this.
Go on then.
And I said, this is something that we have never discussed, actually, because I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
And you probably didn't know that I used to be a table magician.
Oh, I didn't know that, no.
Yeah, so So that was cards.
How did you get into that then?
So I was the same. So I came from a very strict Catholic background, and I didn't get taught necessarily how to talk to certain types of people. A lot of those being the opposite sex, if I'm being honest with you. So it was a very much I initially started as a way for me to contribute to my environment and grow confidence. Yeah. It was an amateur-based thing, so I taught myself. Yeah. But there was a couple of places in Manchester which were like indie type places, and in there were magic shops. Okay. And I would go and I would learn the tricks, and I would learn the card decks, and I would learn all the different things that you could buy. So when we recently had
last week
thing. So you did a trick.
I did, yeah.
I explained it to Tim on the way home.
I can't believe it.
He absolutely destroyed it for me. I'm like, oh, that was great.
I bet before you think that was quite good. Now you're going, is that it?
Yeah. No, so
Well, it got a great reaction, didn't it?
It was a super reaction. You played it really well, I have to say. And so we'll crack on with the main part.
I didn't know that. It's interesting.
So
Tim's got to have something as well.
So
what do we not know about Tim?
An icebreaker. No, don't do it.
Tim's a steal. Tim's a steal.
You can't go off script.
Yeah, don't go off script. Yeah,
off script. No, we can't do that.
Lovely, right? Okay.
Back in line.
So coming back to it. So question number 1. This is a really simple question.
Okay, go for it.
Tell me your story.
Well, I had a very conventional upbringing. So my dad was a doctor. So we're fairly middle-class people. I actually went to a prep school, private school, when I was up to about 13, and I was supposed to go to the local private school, seminary school. But my headmaster said, actually, Simon would do much better to go to local grammar school. I come from Kent, some really good grammar schools there, as are in Manchester as well. And so I went to that, and I was very much, I've got 2 older sisters, and they went to university and they got corporate jobs. And that's what I thought you do, go to university, get a good job, work your way up through the ladder. And that's what I expected. Came here to Birmingham in 1990, did a 4-year engineering course with business, graduated, had no job, which was a bit of a shock.
So you graduated and there was just no jobs in engineering?
It was a difficult time, but if I'm perfectly honest, I didn't put enough effort in. Yeah. A bit like property investing. Yeah. We said we want to invest, and they dabble, and they wonder why they don't get results.
Yeah, it doesn't just happen.
I had sent, because I'm a kind of a fairly confident person, I didn't have a good A-levels, but I was going to get a good degree. I got a 2-1 from Birmingham University, which is pretty good. I did extra things at university. I wasn't just academic, so I did some clubs, society and stuff. So I thought I had a good chance of getting a job. But in my final year, because it was a combined honours, I had 2 dissertations, and I only did 7 applications to all the top companies that I'm bound to get a job, right? Didn't get a single interview. So that was a real wake-up call for me. And so I stayed in Birmingham because I had a girlfriend at university at the time. And I said, I've got to sort this out. I had no money. I was in a really bad student house. And so I really committed. I made a decision. I want to get a really good graduate job. I did 77 application forms in the evenings. I got a part-time job just to earn some money to live and show I was employable. And one of those companies I applied to was Cadbury's. And I'd done them the first time around, didn't even get an interview. And interesting, when I went back, when I got an interview, they asked me, said, "Oh, you applied last year. We didn't interview. Why did you apply again?" And I said with some confidence, "Well, I think I'm meant to work here." And obviously got on quite well.
That's a great answer, by the way. Yeah.
And I got on quite
Well,
well.
it's your fault then, isn't it? Yeah.
You decided not to employ me when I should be working.
It's your own time you
I
wasted.
said it in a very non-arrogant way, just to be clear. And I got through the interview process, and that's why eventually it worked. But there's a useful lesson now, I think, because sometimes people want a result, they just don't put enough effort in. And if you want something, you really commit to it and go for it, then you can get great results.
Was that the first time you feel like you failed at something because you'd done the degree, you applied for jobs, and you weren't getting where you needed to be?
I did feel like I'd failed, definitely, but I've had I've always been quite entrepreneurial. And one thing I did when I was at school in the sixth form, I organised kind of parties, and because Sevenoaks, my company, is pretty quiet, sleepy town, commuter town. And so I'd organise kind of parties and things, and I tried to go too big. I'd done a couple in a local kind of hall that was next to a bar, where you got put amazing lights and sound into it. And I thought, hey, I can take this to London, go into a big ball in London. And I tried to do that, and it's completely failed because I just didn't have enough network and connection. So I lost some money on that, and so I'd had some failures before. Also, I didn't get great GCSEs, didn't get great A levels, so that felt like a bit of a failure. So failure was not a new thing, I don't think, but I was pretty low when it came out. And some of my friends who I didn't think were any better than me had got jobs. They were going traditional engineering. I didn't want to work in a factory doing widgets. I thought that's not a cool thing to do. So I had that, but I definitely thought I needed more. I wanted more. And that was a bit of a wake up call for me. And then I got dumped by my girlfriend. That was a real low, it's a really bad house, no job, no girlfriend. I thought, this is not what it's supposed to be all about. I think sometimes we need things to happen like that give us the momentum.
Well, it's because you get taught that as long as you do this, everything will be fine, right? And that's not how life works.
No, I'd done what I was supposed to do. I got a good degree, and I hadn't got a good job.
You just sort of think you just got to magically walk into that, that decent paying job after uni.
Actually, I mean, I pity people who are at university these days, because there's so many graduates who come out and they don't get jobs, or they're doing admin jobs. I'm talking like 20, 30 years ago, there weren't as many graduates. There were more opportunities. And I had because your environment, my sisters were both quite successful. They had good jobs. I kind of expected that would happen.
Your dad was a doctor. You said,
my dad was a doctor.
He's expected.
I just didn't, and there was no pressure from my family. They were very good about that. But I didn't put in the necessary work. I maybe took it for granted. Why wouldn't someone employ me, for God's sakes?
I'm Simon Zutshi. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
I get that. I totally understand that. And the world has changed, I think, quite significantly.
Well, it's changed dramatically.
Because I think it's gone full circle as well, which is degrees back then, were very tangible. And then they sort of lost their way with the education, the Blair era. Everybody goes to university. I went to university.
My analogy is when I remember coming to the UK, and you, let's say I just went to a school in an assembly or something, and it was full of teenagers, put your hand up if you want to do an apprenticeship or a trade. Crickets.
No one.
Not a single person put their hand up. Whereas you say, who wants to go to university? Literally everyone put their hands up. It was the path.
We were told that's what you have to do. And I think that's a real shame, because that's not suitable for everyone. And that's why we have a shortage of builders now.
Massive trade shortage for that reason.
There weren't enough apprentices and codes. That was, it's amazing how, government policy a few years down the line can have such a dramatic impact as everything's happening right now with the Labour government. It is going to cause an absolute, I won't swear, but something storm. What's happening now? It's going to get worse.
Well, we can all see it coming, can't we?
It's going to be issues. By the way, just to be fair, I don't think the Conservatives did a great job.
No. I don't think either party.
I'm not trying to be political here, but I'm just saying I am really concerned about what the people in power are doing right now.
And how it affects everyone as well. I look at it and I'm like, I try to really think about the traditional Labour voters and how the policies are helping them, and I struggle at the moment. But anyway, we're not getting too.
Let's go. Absolutely. What about any cool So we got 5 hours, right? So the long story. So when I finally got a job at Cadbury's in 1995, as soon as I had my employment letter, I bought a house.
And it was on the same road I had my student house, literally 5 doors up the road.
Yeah.
But this was a really nice house. A young couple had bought it, then turned it into a real home. It had carpets that were soft. It had nice wallpaper, had central heating, stuff I didn't really know from my student house. And that was my first home. And I rented out 2 rooms to my friends who were still at university. I lived for free, saving some money. I had a nightclub business, running nightclubs. And that money was how I bought my second home, which I bought in 98, kept the first one, and I turned that into a student HRA in 1998. So since 98, I've been a student landlord.
There you go. And
that's how it all started. And I got more and more, and eventually left my work because although I loved Cadbury's, I love the people, I love the company, love the products, I kind of like my freedom. I only got 5 weeks holiday, and that wasn't enough. So I left that in 2001, having replaced what I needed to live off, not quite all my income. By 2003, it completely replaced my income. And I thought I'd done quite well, made some mistakes. And I thought, wouldn't it be good if I could connect with some other people like me? So I started investing in Tony Robbins, learned about performance environment, but there was nothing at all. That's why I started the first networking.
Yeah, and what a cool idea. I mean, you get people who meet up in the industry that I used to be in. We used to meet up with other people, but we never really gave it a label. Like I never really made it formal or why don't we do something about this? That was it's such a cool idea, because the thing that about if you do listen to this and you're thinking about, and you're potentially in a job, as an example, because a lot of people they go from a job, they then think, oh, well, I want financial freedom. Who's this Simon Zutshi fella? What are these lads talking about? And they'll come and watch it, and what they don't realize is when you're in a job, you're surrounded by people, right?
Yeah.
And when you start becoming a business leader or you start doing property, that all falls away.
Yeah.
It's quite a lonely role.
And your friends and family don't get it.
They don't get it. And
the more successful you get, the less they understand it.
Well, that's the key thing, is it being surrounded by people that are like-minded or thinking the same way and trying to achieve the same stuff you're trying to achieve. Because that's what you don't get with generally your family and friends, is it?
Yeah, I mean, the five or six people I hang around with most now are all property people, or all doing so.
And in fact, even worse, your family, because they love you and care for you, they might even put you off doing things because they're worried about the risks. And they're coming from a place of love and concern, but that can really stifle your dreams and your ambition if you're not careful.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely, 100%. So you decided to do this networking thing, and it's gone well. It's gone all right, I guess.
It's gone all right,
yeah. Couple of years. But what about along that journey about other cool stuff you might have done? Because
no, I'm doing
you're big on your skiing and stuff like that. So it's not really something I've done. So you've done pretty cool stuff.
Because I've got such bad eyesight. I'm very, very short-sighted.
When did that start, by the way? Do you mind if I ask?
From birth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've got a condition called nystagmus where my eyes actually move from side to side. So you're still, Tim's still, but to make you still, my eyes are refocusing, so I can't see as far. So, I can see Tim now. If he was that much further away, although he's quite distinguishable, sometimes I have to be quite close to recognize them. Yeah. Maybe sometimes I think I'm a bit rude. I just haven't seen them, basically.
Yeah.
So what that means is that it takes me a long time to read, because I have to refocus on every word. And I just can't see as far. So I can't drive. Right. Can't see a light of 25 meters. The glasses don't make that much difference. Laser will make a little bit of difference, but I'm a bit too scared to do that. Right. Even though one of my masterminders is one of the top UK eye surgeons. Right. Okay. I'm still a bit nervous, and he's trying to, I might do it one day, but would I go with that?
Do your price ended in 7?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Of course, yeah. I can't remember what your question was. Obviously, it wasn't a very good question. So, but
well, cool stuff you've done. Cool stuff you've done. Yeah.
So I don't do much sport, but skiing, I love. I just avoid the objects. Yeah. And I started when I was about 10. I think my family went skiing. We were all quite new to skiing. Some of our friends were doing it. Went on a few school trips. So I love being in the mountains. I love the fresh air. I love the scenery. Yeah. Especially, I'm a fair weather skier. I don't like skiing when it's snowing and wet. I like it when it's sunny. Yeah. Which is good. And probably about 2013, 14, we started to organize the Mastermind ski trips. Yeah. And Andy Evans did those for a number of years with us, one of our Masterminders. And then I think we stopped, obviously, during COVID. And just this year, or last year, we thought, hey, we should start that again. And we did a very small trip, 32 of us. And the feedback was amazing. Everyone absolutely loved it. Even to complete new beginners.
Some people were walking very well.
A couple of people had some unfortunate accidents. Weren't very lucky. But one of the people who had a terrible accident day 2, she couldn't ski all week. She said, I'm coming next year. You can't ski. I'm coming because you love the environment and the social life.
I think you've got to put yourself out there anyway, haven't you? Even with the risks. So whatever it is in life, all the cool sports have some degree of risk. Like I'm a rugby player. I quite like Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I mean, you're going to do these things like weightlifting. You're going to do these things.
I did judo for quite a few years at a younger age. That was quite good to keep me fit. I was in the cadets when I was at school.
Same.
So I've done things like abseil, seeking helicopters, and that's some pretty cool stuff like that. One of the coolest things I've done, I was very fortunate enough to go to Necker Island.
Oh, yes.
2015.
Oh, yeah.
And, anyone can pay to go there. It was a paid trip, and actually we paid extra to contribute to Virgin Unite, which is Richard's charity. Yeah. And because of that, he then makes
Richard Branson. Richard Branson.
Sorry, so Necker Island used to be where he lives. Yeah. He still has his home there. Well, he's got a property there, but he actually lives on Mosquito Island, which is next door.
Right.
And when we were there, there was still, so we went to go and see what they were building on Mosquito Island. So I've actually been in his house and his bedroom before it was built, I will say. And it was great. And it wasn't, here's the thing, it was nice to meet Richard Branson. He's actually very quiet. He's a very shy, retiring person. He can be the party animal, but actually he's actually he's a really good listener. That's why he's very successful, listens to people.
Right.
That was great. But actually it was the other people. And I went because I wanted to put myself in an environment, and it was an expensive trip. I probably at the time couldn't really afford it, but I pushed myself because I wanted to connect with people like that to really grow my mind and expand. I think it's really important to not just be like-minded people, but people who are a higher level than you to pull you up.
Yeah, the level that you want to get to or aspire to in the future.
And just even to open your mind. I remember I met a guy on the first day. There's only about 18 of us on this trip, and chatting to him, really nice guy, and he was just saying, what do you do? And he just sold his business for $20 million. And my business was not worth that at all. And I was thinking, bloody hell, that'd be amazing where to sell my business at. I'm never going to sell Peyton as it was. But by the end of the week, instead of looking up to him, I was thinking to myself, great guy, but I don't think I'm actually that different. And I changed my belief. I thought, well, if he's done it, maybe that can do it. And then almost exactly 7 years to the day that I was there, so April 2022 was when I sold my business to Roger Hamilton as part of the roll up on the New York Stock Exchange, and that was a pretty
another cool,
the bell, that was amazing.
So that's you launched the day, is that right? Is that how it works? You launched the day in the opening of the stock. I don't really.
So what actually happens? So whenever the market opens, that someone rings the bell to open it and they ring the bell to close it.
Right.
And they have so many companies that go and list or are doing cool things. You can go and all the people involved in the company get stand on the platform, and the CEO, whatever, I didn't press the bell, but they press the bell, rings the bell, it opens up the markets for the day. So that's what ringing the bell is.
That's wicked, isn't it?
I don't know many other people who've done that. So that's one of the cool things.
That is unique. Yeah.
But I think if I hadn't done that Necker Island trip, would I really have had the belief I could do that? And actually, interestingly, you never know who you're going to meet and how it comes around. Roger Hamilton was the person who had invited me to Necker Island because I was doing some mentoring with him. So he was mentoring me at the time, and he said he invited some of his group, and there was an interview process to go. They didn't just let anyone in, and you had to pass the interview, and then you had to pay, obviously. And then he was the person who 7 years later bought my business.
Yeah, that's
for
cool.
Not quite $20 million, but it wasn't that far off.
Amazing.
And maybe that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been.
No, absolutely.
That's why I think it's so important to push yourself.
Yes, if there's an opportunity where you can see a path to push yourself to that level you want to get to, look into it.
Absolutely.
Now, this question is almost obsolete for you as an individual.
Okay.
Because, obviously you became financially free many, many moons ago now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to change it. So normally the question is, what is it to you and where are you on the journey back? We already kind of know. But what, at a fundamental level to you, what is financial freedom?
Okay, so as you know, I've helped a lot of people get to that point. The way I would define it and the way I explain to people is, I think financial, and as financial freedom and financial independence, okay? I think financial independence is where you can earn enough from a source, and ideally passive or semi-passive. I don't think property is ever completely passive, but pretty close. You can be pretty close to it. Because I have other people manage my property for me. I don't do that. I don't want to be involved with tenants. I don't know how you guys do it in your agency.
We also say, like good systems and processes as well can really free up your time and those sort of things.
Absolutely. So I think it's where you have an income coming in that is not dependent on you exchanging your time for money. So you've got to do some work up front.
Yeah,
absolutely. But once you've got that, put it in place, and that comes in. So you might love what you do, but what if you can't do it?
Yeah.
It gives you a safety net. Or maybe you hate what you do, and it's a way of replacing what you currently earn. So get into a point where all of your bills and all your outgoings are covered and you can live. That's financial independence, because you're not relying on someone else. And the financial freedom is maybe a step up from that, where actually you can do whatever you want to do. If you want to decide, hey, you know what, let's go to Mauritius with the family, you can do it, and you can fly business class, and you can do whatever you want to do. Now, it's really interesting, and this is something that maybe a lot of people don't understand. You might think that people with lots of money, they always go business class and they do this and that, but actually people who are successful, they're often quite frugal with their money.
Yeah.
And they don't buy business cards. They use, as I do, and I tell all my clients, they get yourself an Amex card or BA card, use your points so you can fly business, but pay economy rates for it. So I think there's a big difference between people who don't have money, who think they need to spend all this money to have the signs of being wealthy, but actually wealthy people are probably a bit more careful with their money.
100%.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I think of it when I talk to my wife about upgrading to first class, and I say, well, if that's £4,000 or £5,000 compounded over our kids' next 18 years.
Yeah.
You know, that's like £80,000 or something.
Yeah.
So that's a big trade-off
for me. I would say I don't think first class is worth it. You know, I've done it twice. Once where I did it on points, and once where I was speaking in South Africa and I was flown out. Me and my partner, first class was very nice. And I said to the steward, I said, so I've done business class quite a bit. I've never done first class. I was really excited. I said, what's the difference? He said, well, really, it's kind of similar. You got a bit more room, slightly better foods, slightly better drinks, but really, big difference is it's on your time scale. You have food when you want to have it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not why we're having food now. It's when do you want it? And it's just that bit more attention to you.
Slightly higher service.
Yeah, I think that's it. I don't think it's worth
a smaller number of people.
It is smaller number, I don't think it's worth. And actually, you might think, oh, well, I can network with people. Like, no, you don't, because if you're in private care, you don't really get to connect with people anyway.
Yeah.
And in business lounge, maybe you can, but actually, you have your own little pods. So I don't think first is worth it personally.
Fair enough. When there's turbulence, you have to sit down and.
However, having said that, if all the CEOs of major airlines who are watching this want to get me to come and try it, and I'm happy to check their products, absolutely, I'm happy to do that.
Change your mind.
Connect me on LinkedIn. That's a great way to do it. But
there's only one Simon Zutshi.
There's only one Simon Zutshi.
So I guess that's a good analogy, isn't it? Because I think there's different things as well, which is if financially independent versus financial freedom. I think that might probably different asset classes to get to those things as well. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is the next question actually, but also frugal living. Well, there's two ways to live financially free, isn't there? Number one, make my money as passively as possible. Number two, spend less of that money. To get to that goal.
And I think a lot of people make the mistake. They think you just have to make more money. But the problem is the more you make, generally the more you spend. So the key is making money, but then saving some of the money you make.
Keeping your lifestyle fairly level and making more and more and more.
Doesn't mean you're eating baked beans on toast every day. You know, you can have a nice lifestyle, but you don't have to waste a load of money. I think a lot of people who don't have money, they kind of think they have to waste it.
Well, not having a car and a driving license is a good start, because they're some of the most expensive items, you know.
As a household, we have a car, and I pay for it. But I also have a driver.
Driver. There you go. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Although she doesn't like it when I sit in the back.
Can you take me here, please?
Thank you. My wife is very good like that.
But well, let's talk about it then. So strategies to achieve financial freedom. Now, we don't have 5 hours. You are the man for this, right? So we could literally, you know. If you really want to know, there's a 12-month program that's pretty good, right?
If only there was a training program, we'll get there really quickly.
The
Property Mastermind program.
So let's say you're just starting out. What are you suggesting?
Well, so a couple of things. First, what we just mentioned, actually, I think a lot of people live just beyond their means. They spend a bit more than they earn. I think look at what you spend your money on. And there are probably things that are going out of your bank account that you're not using, and you can probably reduce your cost quite a bit just by saving some of that. And that's a good exercise to do. And then rather than thinking you have to have all the designer labels and things, do you really need to have all that stuff? And maybe just being a little bit frugal. And this is a delayed gratification. So this may be having a slightly more moderate lifestyle, so you've got more money you can then invest, and you want to invest that money and get that working for you instead of you working for money. An important distinction there. And obviously, I'm slightly biased because I've done it myself and helped so many people like you guys and other people. I think property is a great way to do it. And a lot of people think you need to have lots of money to do property. You have money that helps, but most people don't have loads of money sitting in the bank. They might have an inheritance or redundancy, but they don't have the cash. So the way most people get into property is if they have their own home, or maybe they inherit a property, or maybe they're an accidental landlord. They often don't realize, but the equity in those properties can be released and used as a seed deposit to go and buy more. And that's counterintuitive because we're told debt's bad, you should pay down your mortgages. But if you can just for a few years increase the debt, and that you've got to have enough income to be able to do that on your own home. If you take that money out, use that to buy a number of investment properties, which should more than pay for themselves and cover the cost of borrowing your own home. So it shouldn't cost you anything. The idea is these investment properties go up over time, and you can then remortgage those. So increase the debt on those as the rent and value go up, take cash out to then completely pay off your own home. So that's the most basic way of doing it, where you end up with your own home completely paid off and this portfolio of properties which continue to go up in value to continue to give you income. So that's the general principle. Then a little bit more detail, you've got to be careful which kind of properties you buy. And obviously you guys are real experts at HMOs, high-end co-living HMOs, which you know there's very high demand for. They're very, very profitable. You can potentially buy something, add value, refinance, get all your money out. So you can roll your development, your investment. I believe these days, single let properties, which is what the vast majority of investors have, they don't really work. They don't work so much because we have the extra cost of buying, stamp duty. Interest rates are relatively high now compared to what they've been for the last decade or so. And we'll never go back to those low rates, I don't think. And the rates now are kind of what we had pre-COVID. But I think house prices are more and rents have gone up, but not as much. And affordability is an issue for many people. So property is good, but not just any property. That's why you have to educate yourself to find the right kind of property, the right kind of area. It's about buying right in the first place. We want to buy from motivated sellers, ideally at a discount, add value, refinance, rather than just waiting for it to go up. So as long as you know what you're doing, property is a great way to do it. A couple of my students have gone on to buy businesses in a similar way that we buy properties. You can structure that as no money down. I think you have to have a bit more about you to be able to do that. And ideally, you want to have a management team in place. You don't want to give yourself a new job, but that's another way of creating wealth. And I know a lot of people invest in the stock market. If you give your money to a fund or someone, you get an average return. But again, you can educate yourself and learn how to be a bit more creative and get a better return there as well.
Yeah, I mean, even some of the passive stocks are really good, right? So
if you've got spare money, just put it in there. And I'll be very careful when I say this, but personally, I think crypto is very, very risky. However, I think Bitcoin is here to stay. And I think someone should only have a very small amount in Bitcoin, but a very small amount could end up
small percentage of your portfolio.
Very small percentage of portfolio, but I think that's a good thing. And just you don't keep checking it every day, you just hold it long term. And I might be wrong, but I think that's probably going to do quite well.
I think single lets will come back because people need somewhere to live.
I think they will. I think they will. Yeah.
I think there's a benefit of trying to get to that.
But you talked about replacing your income.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to show you the quicker way of doing it. HMOs or serviced accommodation. You should make at least £1,000.
They're the classic ones, aren't they?
The classic ones. And I think SA at the moment, serviced accommodation is oversaturated. I think there's too much of it. I think a lot of amateurs doing it. When regulation comes to England, which hasn't quite come in yet, but it will do. I think that will get a lot of the amateurs out of the market. I think it will return to be a better market. But I think what you guys do, high-end HMOs, is probably the best strategy. It's a bit more advanced. You need to learn about it, but it's the best strategy.
Yeah, it's funny because we get because we're in circles. Obviously, you surround yourself with people, don't you? And we're in circles of lots of people who do great things in HMOs, right? So so we talk about HMOs too much, right? And
it's not the only thing, obviously. Freehold title specificity is great.
Yeah, of course.
Mega deals, we talk about it's good. There are lots of things, but it's just that why do you think so many successful people do it?
Yeah, of course.
Because it works.
But the problem you get
brings in good cash flow.
Is once you're in a circle, you talk about saturation. I hear this sometimes.
Yeah.
Saturation. And what I actually looked at is I did some research, and the number of HMO rooms is decreasing.
Yeah. Well, more and more landlords are selling.
Yeah.
But I think and I think Article 4 stopped that as well, whereas it has controlled it in certain areas. I think there is an oversupply of HMOs in the market in most places. But the distinction that people don't quite get is we don't teach people to do ordinary HMOs. We teach people to do high-end co-living HMOs, because why would you want to go into a market where there's an oversupply? Whereas if you have a better quality product, you will always have some discerning clients who are prepared to pay a bit more for that product. They often stay longer. You create that real community. So you have less voids, higher rent, you make more money.
Yeah. And the higher ones now, the barrier to entry is I think this is possibly why we're going to see an even further contraction in the real numbers of HMOs versus population growth, is the barrier to entry through regulation.
Yeah.
It's getting harder. So a lot of these older stock is reaching their 5 or 10 years of having one or two licenses.
Aren't big enough.
Well, it's building regulations and licensing, and obviously planning with Article 4. So there's a combination of those things that the barrier to entry gets harder and harder.
I mean, I said I had my first one in 98, but I really, after about 10 years in 2005, I looked back and I realized actually why have I not done more of those? I had mainly single lets. And 2005, I made a conscious effort to just do HMOs. And I turned houses into 5 beds typically. And then a couple of years later, they were all licensed. But they were what I'd call a very standard HOA, because there wasn't a competition then. And anyone who's doing HOA, if you're doing standard ones, you're not going to be doing very well. You have to move with the market. You have to adapt and provide that much better quality accommodation.
Yeah. And just going back to your point on financial freedom versus financial independence. So we've used HMOs for financial independence, which for us is the first level of wealth in terms of like getting to that position. Now we do our business, which is a profit-based business, and we're putting money into freehold blocks, things like single lets that we can buy unencumbered, things like that actually can return.
And we're looking at that because we've got that initial financial independence layer you mentioned.
Where you have a journey and you do different things. And I think what most people should do, they should start with cash flow. Get the cash flow in place. I mean, I sometimes meet people who say, I want to do development. And I think development is great at the right stage in your property journey. If you're beginning and you want to get cash flow, don't do development, because Tim, it's going to swallow your cash. And you're not going to make a profit for maybe
takes a lot of time.
To get the money out when you sell or refinance. So get the cash flow in place, then do development. Or likewise buy assets. And there's a difference between you buying a block of flats and buying individual flats. I think flats on their own are not a good investment. If you own the block and the freehold and you're in control of it, that's better. Because if you have a flat that's a leasehold and you've got someone is managing that, they may or probably not do a good job.
Well, I know this because I work for a big development company that sold off flats, even if 2 or 3 years ago. And the values of them are less than they were at that point, as an example, because there's a level of premium with the
when you buy a new apartment.
We met a guy. We met.
I'm not going to.
We met a masterminder.
Yeah, and I'm not going to use any names.
We won't use names, but it was before his mastermind journey. He bought 3 of Tim's company's flats.
The company I was working for at the time.
And now
I'm like, which company is it? Because he mentioned it. He said, I'm like, I was working for them as a project manager, development manager.
But that's, you see, and that's one of the reasons why education is so important, because people generally know property is a good thing. They might get a little bit of education, which can be dangerous, watching videos, podcasts, etc. They go and buy something, and long term, it will probably work out. Long term. The danger is they've tied up money, maybe unnecessarily, could work so much better for them.
5 or 10 years they've tied it up before it starts going up again.
Absolutely. And then the real shame is if that bad experience then puts them off completely. And think about the opportunity cost if they then don't build a property portfolio. Even though they'd started, it's huge. It's huge opportunity cost. So that's why educators have learned how to, and sometimes people say, oh, education is expensive. Well, it can be, but try ignorance. That's a lot more expensive.
Stop the podcast now. This episode is sponsored by Property Filter. Property Filter is the #1 property tool for today's property professional. It brings in all the data points and sources from all the property portals and auction sites into one convenient place. Then you have the option to overlay all the clever strategies found in the Property Filter blueprint to find motivated sellers faster. Now, we use it on a daily basis. It saves us over 80% of our time when looking for properties. And if that sounds like something that you want in your lives, please go to register.property-filter.co.uk/PPB, which is the discount code for this podcast. You will get 2 weeks free and a discount on your first month. That's it from me. Back to the podcast.
Education is only expensive if you don't plan on doing anything with it.
If you don't take any action with it.
Which I guess brings us to the 4th question.
If
that's good. So we'll frame
that. Nice line up there, wasn't it?
It was perfectly done, to be fair. It's like you've read it beforehand. So we now live in a media world of dopamine right? And you're getting. I saw you on TikTok now.
Oh, did you? Okay,
when did this happen? Recent.
I don't know. My team just started.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Yeah. So I was
I'm not doing it. Obviously, they're doing it.
Yeah. So
I've not done it yet. So.
Yeah. So
let's stay off. I don't watch TikTok.
No. So there's this world of now networking and property training and it's very, cancel culture and all this type of things that are out there. I mean, I don't really pay that much attention. I don't watch the news or anything like that, but property training seems to be a bit like Marmite.
Absolutely.
You live literally loving it or you're hating it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's people who've been on the training that either love it or hate it as well as people who haven't and seen it from the outside or whatever. And you only necessarily, the loudest shouters are always the ones who, in my opinion, have either done some very early basic stuff or haven't actually done anything.
Yes, that's my opinion.
So just from a balance point of view, what is your biggest frustration about people that are joining the training sector and the education part? What are your biggest frustrations in delegates and or the trainers?
Okay, I think it's good to have competition. It's good to have companies out there because that means everyone's got to up their game. So that's good. The problem is, particularly with this day with social media, anyone can create an image, a persona very, very easily.
Or a perception.
And sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. Okay, that's the first problem. And I've been in this game teaching for 22 years. There's no one in the UK been teaching longer consistently than me. And I've seen people come and go. And people blow up, they get a lot of traction. And it takes a couple of years before you get enough people to say, hang on a minute, I've done that training and it didn't work. Now, does training work or is it down to delegate? And this is let's talk about the delegate in a minute, but just talk about trainers that you need to understand not all training is the same. That's the first thing. Yeah. And secondly, just because someone has become successful themselves in doing whatever it is, let's talk about property in this case, that doesn't mean they're any good at transferring that knowledge to other people and empowering other people to take action on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you get successful people think, oh, I'm going to set up a training business because it can be profitable. But they don't necessarily know how to train those people. Now, if you have a group of people who come and do some training, there's a bell curve. You will, no matter who the trainer is, you'll always get some people who do really well.
Yeah.
You'll always get some people who do nothing. It's about the people in the middle. And I like to think people on our Mastermind program are probably higher up the curve than other programs out there. And I think that's for a couple of reasons. One is that we actually really care about our students. We try and give them much more. We can't do it for them.
Yeah.
And we tell them they need to take the action. We have a lot of accountability in there. We have some people who don't do a lot, and that's the case. And that really frustrates me. I think, why would you spend all this money and not do what we tell you?
Yeah.
I remember one person in particular who did absolutely nothing for the whole year. And then afterwards, they started doing some deals. And I said to them, it's great you're doing stuff now. Why not? He said, I just don't like being told what to do. and I think, well, this wasn't the right place because Simon says, right? We tell you what's on. We drill it in. And interestingly, most people who are open and listen and then take action, they get results. For example, a simple thing like landlord letters, right?
Yeah.
Landlord letters absolutely work. It's a numbers game. But we say first workshop or two, look, send your land letters out as well as property and all the other things. And I still get people standing out workshops 6 hours saying, you know what? I think I'm going to send landlord letters out now because I've seen other people get inquiries and actually get deals. I didn't believe it, but I'm going to do it now. I think, well, you could have saved yourself 6 months.
Yeah.
If only you just done it straight away.
Just as an endorsement to that, I mean, we've done 70 property deals between us.
Yeah, about 70 deals.
And we were on the way up this morning reviewing our next landlord letter campaign.
Yeah.
So
I actually last night I dug out my original one from Mastermind just to compare against it and some of the the personal notes and stuff like that.
Yeah. And look, that's just one way of finding deals, right? And I use Property Filter and use 8. There's so many things you can do, but the whole point for someone coming on a course surely is not to reinvent the wheel. It's to learn what works and what doesn't work as well. And look, I wish there was one strategy that worked for everyone to make my job so much easier. There isn't. So I give a whole range of things. And maybe that's a slight challenge. It's almost too much. Sometimes people get
people from different locations and things like that, and their different experience and whatever.
You have to tweak the strategy a little bit. For example, buying existing HMOs works really well here in Birmingham, where you are as well. Probably doesn't work so well down south because landlord's expectation is too high.
Yeah.
So we say, well, down there, you probably have to buy a deceased estate, add the value, refinance. And that's how, so you've got to tweak the strategy slightly depending on the area.
Yeah.
But the fundamentals are there really.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Or look at a different area.
all look at a different area. Yeah. And you can, with the internet these days and with our network, you would absolutely invest remote. You don't have to invest where you live if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think first of all, not all trainers are the same. I also think it's about expectations. I think a delegate comes on and we make it really clear. And as you know, no one could just sign up for our mastermind. We want people to come on our 3-day accelerator first, where we teach all the strategies anyway. And some people, they get enough. They don't need to do master. They just go and do it on their own. Great.
I thought that generally wasn't the thing. I thought it was just, it's just a sales pitch.
No, but that's the
I
case.
know lots of people.
Yeah, they've done the 3 days.
They've done the 3 days and they're running with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, very often we get people think, I can do it myself. They go do 1 or 2 deals and they keep in touch with people who did do Mastermind, who are way ahead. And they think, oh, maybe I should do Mastermind.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people think, well, why would I spend that amount of money? Because it's not a small investment.
No.
Why would I spend that? I could buy a cheap property up north with that deposit. And you could do that. But you'd have one cheap property up north. And when
careful with this.
Because
we're up north.
But your property
further north. Further north. Okay, right. I can't say that.
But when you get on Mastermind, and it's not so much about more training because we have taught you much of the stuff. It's about building the belief. It's about getting that community.
Yeah, I think a big thing for me was just the network and the people.
Yeah.
As well as the inspiration.
And it's a high caliber, isn't it? Because
Huge
people
caliber,
have paid a good amount to be there. You don't get any time. I guess we don't do that much, but they're all the willingness to do it. They're all determined.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you're buying yourself a seat at that table of other like-minded people, and we get diverse. And look, Tim, I don't think we've had many people who have as much construction experience as you have coming into it, but what you're doing now is very different to what you did in your professional construction career, right?
Yeah, absolutely, much different because, I mean, the blockers for me when I came to Mastermind was like, I could manage building projects. I did not know how to raise money.
No.
As an example. And, how to do business myself with people.
Yeah.
And I read your book and it said, you can use other people's money. And it took me ages to get that concept.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've read it and I get it. Right. How do I actually do that? And it's, that was a real blocker for me. And Mastermind opens up that blocker.
And when you see other people around you who are like you doing it, that helps build that belief, doesn't it? I mean, mindset is so important.
Yeah.
If you believe you can or believe you can't, you're absolutely right, as Henry Ford said.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest blocks.
Yeah.
People hold themselves back, is self-doubt, lack of belief. And sometimes it's a lack of knowledge.
Sometimes it's just not knowing or thinking you can. I think with the money thing, as an example, I think for me, it was like the physics. Like, how are you just going to ask someone for money?
Yeah.
And I think one of the things you said in Mastermind was like,
don't ask them.
You don't directly ask them.
Nice.
You just say, you talk about what you do. And it's like, who do you know might be interested in something like this? And they're literally the person, they're like, they either literally go, oh, I've got some money in the bank. I could get involved in that, which I had numerous times. I've had numerous times.
Yeah.
Or they go, actually, I know such and such. They just sold their business. They've literally got all this cash to do it.
Yeah.
And
if someone has a lot of money in the bank, that is a problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's these.
It's not the worst problem.
No, it's not the worst. No, it's not the worst problem, but it is a problem.
It is a problem.
Yeah. So it's these little distinctions that make the difference.
I think if I was going to give you some feedback on what I see, because we get a lot of people coming to us in the events now, because a lot of the other training organizations, the reason I think so if you look to your bell curve and why you have more graduates who are doing better on average than other training organizations.
Yeah.
So, because we see this all the time. And for me, it's the community aspect.
Yeah.
The technical parts, sure, you teach that in 3 days, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's that community aspect and that togetherness and everyone pulling each other along.
Yeah.
That really, so you beat the drum, beat it really well, I have to say. And then you get Andy to tell people are halfway there and everyone panics.
Yeah.
This halfway, his legendary halfway speech. And then, but the community are all dragging each other towards this end goal. But the thing that you've done, which is really well over the last years that I've noticed, which is you've now started, other cohorts are starting to pull each other along.
Yeah.
And it's creating a little bit of competition. And now you've layered it with the next level people.
Yes. And I'm delighted to have you guys both there. Because you guys are smashing it, right? You're doing really, really well, but you're not arrogant enough to think you know it all. And you know how important it's getting an environment. So you put yourself back in that graduate next level. And I see hopefully really enjoying it.
Yeah, no, it's been great. It's just nice.
Again, it's a group of like-minded people, like that same sort of network to be around.
And there's people on there who asked that question, why have you come, why are you here? You probably don't need to be here. And it's like, well, yes, I do, because we've always learned something, number one. But number two, it's, you know, I can only put up with Tim so much. It gets a bit lonely. It gets a bit lonely.
And our great rest of our team that we work with.
Yeah, of course. The rest of the team now is a great team.
Yeah.
So, but I am going to ask my next question.
Go.
Why do you still I don't get it, right? So, like, you are one of the most successful people I know. I know you know more successful people than you because you hang around with those people as well. I still go to your events. I go to your 3-day events, you know, which is the ones I really love. I love Property Live. I love Strategy Implementation Live. Yeah. And, you know, year after year, I go back. So
why do you go to those? Why do you go back to them? I mean, the content is not always, but it's probably 90% the same. We have different case studies, etc. But why do you go?
Because one day I'll get the invite to
get on stage.
No, I'm only joking. So no, I go because I always learn something. Yeah, I always meet new people. Yeah, and the energy for me, it's seeing the
getting re-energized
energy from that. I love that. You know, sometimes I need someone to paddle. Give me some juice. Yeah, you know? And that's why I go back. You know, and it's more because I see the infectious, and I remember my first pin meeting, and I remember my first day on MMA, and I remember my first day on Mastermind. And I remember why I started and how I started and where that came from, or where that energy came from, and what I've learned since then, and my failures, and I failed big and I've won big, and, you know, all of those things along that journey, it brings me back to that. And it's the excitement of, I've still got all those things to come again and again and again and again. And it resets it. And then I always learn something. Yeah. You know, the last one I met Nick.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Amazing, I thought I was doing well. What an arsehole. He's doing super well. You know, like, I did absolutely infinitesimal this morning.
Yeah. And you know, before Mastermind, he's entrepreneurial, had a business, a blind shop selling blinds, but he hadn't done any property. Yeah. And in a decade, he's now got, I think it's 1,000 units.
Wow. And he sold blinds. And he just casually dropped it in. I was like, at that point you're like, oh well, I'm not even started. Yeah, you know, but that's the reason, because you can sometimes think, I like the analogy of the emperor, right? The Roman emperor comes back from the charge, and I sometimes feel like we're charging all the time, and they've conquered. Well, I sometimes feel like we conquer sometimes, and that guy whispers in his ear, "You're only human." Yeah. That's one of the reasons I love coming back as well, because it brings me back to that energy level of a newbie. Yeah, meet new people just starting out, get to meet them, see their needs and likes, and you know that, and I try and give back as well. Yeah, and you do.
You're very good at that. Very good at that.
And you know that I do say that some of the things that I try and give back and tell them about my story, but also that went well, things that went badly.
Without even thinking about it, there are massive business benefits as well.
Yeah, because I'm sure you will pick up every time. You must pick up people who say, "This is great. I don't know myself. Can you do it for me?" Right?
Well, I mean, what we get. So, like, if you took this podcast example, going to those events and things like that, you know, our business and what you do is a lot about trust and know, like, and trust, really. Yeah. And it's, you know, we're finding the properties, we're developing and we're letting it, and like people are really got a lot of put of trust in us. So so it's having these podcasts, going to these events, know, like, and trust it.
People really get that familiarity, and
people get the familiarity without actually meeting us in a way a lot of the time, which really helps in the sales process, gets reduced. And
because we're a referral business, you know, we do very little like outward marketing, so it does work in that way. But the great thing about where we are already in our careers post Mastermind is we don't need it. Yeah. So we don't attend with that in mind. Yes. You know, we're not selling to the masses. Yeah. You know, we're genuinely there to give back and help people on their journeys. And if that means they want to use our services, perfect. Yeah. You know, that means we've got a great synergy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But my question to you is, why are you doing this exhausting thing? Like I go.
And where do you get the energy for it?
I go to events and I am knackered and I'm a delegate. Like, and I think I go back and every time I say to my wife, Nick, I don't know how he does it. I don't know why he does it.
Well, there are two things. First of all, really good drugs.
Yeah, great drugs. Yeah. It's for my eyes. Yeah.
No, but seriously, so this comes to the point that sometimes people say, "Oh, why? If you got all this money, so why do you bother teaching other people?" And anyone who asks me that question, I know they're not financially independent because they're still working.
Yeah.
Because
I would have thought that pre-Mastermind, say. Yeah. But I wouldn't think that now.
Because the whole point is, well, first of all, there's so much property out there. Me teaching other people doesn't stop me doing it.
Yeah.
And I still do invest. By the way, if I had to choose, do I buy property or do I teach people? I'd choose to teach people.
Would you?
I do.
There you go.
I buy property because there were some great deals and I should be doing it. And if I'm teaching, I should be doing it. But what I really love is I like the deal, and that's I'm a creator. I have to have people sort out the stuff for me, right?
Yeah.
But the teaching is where my passion is. And here's the point, and I want to get everyone to think about this. When you reach financial freedom, financial independence, you then have the choice to do what you want to do. And if you love what you do, and I love what you can tell when I speak, I love what I do. I have my bad days, I'm stressed as etc. Of course I do, everyone does. But if you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. And that's the point.
Yeah.
And I get a massive buzz and I get a massive feeling of significance and contribution when I know that I'm helping others. When I get people come, I was at a property show in June in Birmingham, and I just did a little talk, and this guy came up to me afterwards and said, "Sorry, you don't know me, but I just want to say, I bought your book about 16 years ago. I've not done any of your training or any training at all. I just bought your book. Me and my wife have replaced their income. We sent our kids to private school. We just do property now, and it's all because of your book."
Oh, wow.
And I went, oh, you know.
It's amazing.
That's really great.
You know, the hairs on my back and that stand up, and I think that's amazing. Just on my book. I think he should.
And you said, just imagine if you came to Mastermind.
Of course I did,
It seems like it's doing all right. And there's me, read your book, did nothing for 4 years, then had to pay loads for training, and then started to do stuff, right?
But then most people.
Journeys.
And I love it when, I don't love it, but it makes me smile when people on I've got pretty good reviews on Amazon for my book. You get the occasion like, oh, I didn't learn anything in this book. I think
you didn't read it.
You didn't read it.
Yeah.
I've had people who have read the book and not done anything else and bought properties, saved money, etc. So I think it's in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? Really, it's you find the value you're looking for, and I think that we're going back to the point. Some people who they might have done other people's training, might be a bit cynical. They've gone with a cynical mind and they haven't been open to hear all the lessons that they could have picked up.
But there's a difference, isn't there, between I know people that teach and I know people that train. None of them do this absolute lunatic thing that you do because you're just going.
I probably am a bit too busy than I should be. My wife would say that.
Yeah.
And
when was the last time you had a weekend to yourself out of interest?
Last weekend.
Was it last weekend? No, because I was with you last weekend.
No, the weekend. No, this weekend.
This weekend. Even though we're already here on a Friday night. Okay.
I'm going soon.
Okay,
Still business hours out.
This weekend, I'm off.
Nice.
Next weekend, I'm doing a virtual rate with Shaw. Speaking out.
Yeah.
I think the weekend after, I've got Mastermind. Weekend after, I'm off. Weekend after, I'm off. So, problem is, I work with consumers.
Yeah.
And consumers want evenings and weekends.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So, it's a bit like if you have a restaurant or a bar, it's not the most social hours.
Personal training business or any of those types of things.
Exactly, So, if you're dealing with consumers, that's the business I'm in. You know, it'd be much easier dealing direct to businesses, maybe. But
fair play. No, listen, fair play to you. I'm just always in awe of what you do.
Well, I'll take that. Thank you very much.
No, I am. Yeah. I hope I never do it.
Oh, by the way, I am absolutely exhausted when I finish as well.
Well, I've seen the photos of you lying on the floor and just seeing.
As I get older, it gets harder as well because you get the adrenal fatigue. Obviously, you're pumped up when you're doing it, and then after you just crash. So relaxation time, and I'm getting better.
And did you get a good amount of sleep? Or
I love sleep. I slept in this morning. Actually, I need sleep. I don't function well if I don't have sleep.
Fair.
And I can fall asleep like that anywhere, anytime.
So I guess this question is not necessarily something that we get always honest answers for.
Okay.
So if you want to just give us a textbook answer, that's fine. But what is so we've talked about a lot of things that you're already proud of in your journey.
Yeah.
You know, which is, it's your journey's on another level to most people's. And if anybody wants to aspire to be like Simon Zutshi, more power to them, fair play to them.
Thank you.
But what's been the biggest challenge?
We haven't got long enough to talk about all the mistakes I've made, the challenges. I think I have been too trusting.
Yep, same.
I think I've gone into some partnerships and things where, if I say something, I like to think my bond is my word, right? And I tell all my, you've heard me say, if you do a deal, you've got to have it in writing, you've got to have paperwork down. But as a creator, I don't like that kind of detail, and that's a fault I have. So I think I've been too trusting in the past. I definitely had some people who've taken advantage of me, my good nature. And so I've invested in some things that haven't been great. I have to take responsibility. I've worked with people who know what they're doing. I put the money in. But mistake I made, I didn't find out how many other projects they're doing. And they might have had too much on their plate. And I've I've just let them get on with it.
Yeah.
And I've not held them to account enough. So I've got to take full responsibility for that. So I did one investment. It was I don't want to say who it was. It was a building that was residential originally. There was offices and converted into 7 apartments. And it should have taken about a year, and it took 4 years. There were some challenges with planning, which happens, but they went through 3 builders. Now, sometimes you have a problem with builders, but if you have 3 builders, it's probably not the builders that's the problem. Does that make sense? Yeah. And my responsibility, I should have been on top of it more, but I wasn't. And when you do that, and I'm using my money and other people's money, I didn't make any money from it. All my investors got their money and their interest. I made nothing from it. I probably even lost slightly. So that's my biggest mistake. I've been too trusting. I've probably not had the attention to detail I should have done.
I think that's a great lesson, because I've been the same, right? So I've had a business which failed, and that business failed because I was too trusting. Yeah. And even though you can have you can even have these things, you can even have the paperwork. Yeah. You can even have you can even to try and stay on top of it. But ultimately, things can go wrong. Yeah. Right. But it means you're trying at the end of the day.
Yeah. And they do. And as long as you try your best, I think you need to make sure you sleep at night. Oh. I think you've done what you can, and that's it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And if you're not failing at something.
Yeah. Anyone who says they've been successful is a complete liar, or they're going to have a huge fall at some point.
I've just learned something, actually, because I talk about managing hundreds of build projects, and I think I've encountered every issue that could come up on build projects.
Yeah.
But I've never had 3 builder problems in one project.
Well, there you go.
You've given me a new one.
That's not a builder issue, is it?
Yeah, it's not a builder issue. Yeah,
it's a you issue. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I've had obviously builders liquidation, unfinancial.
Yeah.
All those sort of things.
It happens. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. And I think people need to understand, whatever you do, property business, there are going to be problems. And I used to have this delusion when I was younger, that when you become successful, you don't have problems anymore. I now know the more successful you get, the bigger problems you get to deal with.
Problems get bigger. They do.
And it's your ability. I think a measure of success is your ability to deal with that level of uncomfort.
But as you get the bigger problems, your ability to solve bigger problems gets bigger as well, doesn't it?
And sometimes you get to the point you think, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. That does happen.
And most people fail. That's when failure actually fails. Failure is won at that point. Yeah. Because you've decided, actually, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. Yeah. And there is always there is the comfort of a 9 till 5.
Yeah. When I was at Cadbury's, not to mention Cadbury's anymore.
And I asked a Cadbury's for your podcast. I did tell you this before.
When I was at Cadbury's, I remember I had family in St. Lucia, been about 6 or 7 times, and I was there one May, and I was sitting in the back of this Jeep with a cooler full of drinks. My 2 cousins opposite me, sun blazing down, me going slightly pink and crispy, obviously. The blue sky, the palm trees going on, and I was just thinking, I've just been paid today. And that regular salary going in is an amazing comfort. When you don't work for someone else, I think that's why entrepreneurs are often workaholics, because you feel if you're not working, you're not earning.
And often pay themselves last.
I've done that. I've done that. I've had times, property education businesses aren't always profitable. There are people are very good at adding up all the additions. They don't take away the subtractions. It's a very expensive thing. Yeah, exactly. And I've sometimes said things when I haven't paid myself.
Yeah, of course.
But I think as a business owner, that's a risk you take. And I think employees don't understand that.
And also the other thing is, when you talk to people who aren't working the standard day job anymore, and they've had all these challenges, like you mentioned, we've challenged, and you ask them, like, would you just go back to that job? And then you don't get all those stresses, all those challenges or whatever. Would you do it?
No, I wouldn't. Well, I'm not employable anymore.
I would. No way I would do it. Yeah, true.
Although I'm technically,
don't quote me. Just in case.
I am technically employed now, because I'm a contractor back to the business but I'm not really, if that makes sense. Quite a lot of freedom.
So last question. What is the best piece of advice that you have been given? Because obviously you give loads, but what have you taken?
It's hard to bring that down to just one. When you have a business, property, anything, I think a really important thing is cash flow. You've got to look at your cash. You can have a profitable business, but the cash flow might kill you. So that's a really important thing.
Cash is king, isn't it? You have to have the
money back. Absolutely. Yeah. And as an investor, when we use other people's money, I've had challenges where I have an investor got to pay back, I loan to someone else, and that doesn't happen for whatever reason. You've got to run around. It's very stressful.
Yeah.
But that happens.
So it's a bit like the cash buffer is a good, and the liquidity
and that happens. But also, I don't want to have a load of money sat in the bank.
Yeah, that's the balance, isn't it? That's the challenge.
It's not a good thing to do, but then you've got to be careful. So that can be difficult.
Yeah.
From a personal point of view, a piece of advice I was given as an expert was write a book. And that's one of the best things. My book, Property Magic. I think it's a good book.
Oh, super.
But it's so many people have got to know a Simon Zutshi who I never would have reached before because they read the book and said, oh, that's quite good. He knows what he's talking about. So that was one of the best bits of my
Have you got it on audio now?
It is on audio.
Fully audio. It's you reading it?
Yes, me reading it.
Yeah. There you go.
We'll take you up on this advice, actually.
You should get a book. Honestly, anyone who, if you have a business and you're an expert, consultant, coach, trainer, whatever, having a book. And I think it needs to be a physical book.
We're 38 chapters in, by the way.
Are you?
We're a long way. Yeah, we're almost
you've
finished
written
the
a book.
draft.
You've done your kids' book, haven't you?
Yeah, my quick lessons for the real world, what they didn't teach you in school.
Yeah.
All advice for teenagers and young adults. But yeah, so second book for me, but one that we're writing together that we're deep in. We need to work out the title for it and things like that and get it edited and everything. But
we're addressing the new world basically, which is it's no longer BRRR, you know, because of regulation and stuff like that. It's BDR. It's buy, develop, refinance, right? So it's all about the steps that you can take to manage that in your life as a landlord,
which is a lot more than BR.
It is.
It's a lot more things.
You're talking proper conversions, proper small scale development projects.
Even to the traditional what you used to put like HMOs, which you could move some walls, put some fire doors on. That is now more a development led thing. So definitely, we hope we hope again it gives back to help people
achieve their financial freedom,
make less mistakes. Yes, that's the whole point of it.
Absolutely. And look, I did a book because I was told to, but also I had a lot of people ask me the same things. Found myself repeating myself. Well, I was just going to write a book.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because we now point people to the podcast episode.
Yeah, podcast episodes.
Say go and watch that because that's a 45-minute explanation. I've got 1 minute left to talk to you right now. So go and watch that.
Classic ones is some people ask like, oh, how do you determine your location? I'm like, I started to tell her, actually, we've got a really good podcast episode called Location.
It saves you so much time by referring them to that. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So top tips for listeners who want to achieve financial freedom in the next 2 years.
First of all, make a decision you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Too many people dabble, they never really commit. So make a decision you're going to do it, first thing. Second thing, work out what you want to achieve. What's the goal? What are you aiming for? If you're clear on that, you've got a much better chance of getting there, and you work out which strategies actually will take you there. Next, educate yourself. There's lots of free resources you could use, obviously. But I think there comes a point when you need to put a stake in the ground and invest in yourself, because you'll speed up the learning curve. And also when you have invested, you want to get a return on that investment. And also you become more investable. And if you want to use other people's money, you can't go say, well, I watched a few YouTube videos. How hard can it be? No, if you've spent money on a course, a good course, and you got support around you, you're less likely to make mistakes and lose money. Get a coach or a mentor, because training itself is good, but then when you're on your own, it can be quite hard when you're looking at a property and the numbers trying to make it work. So get some support around you, get like-minded people around you. And finally, don't give up.
Yeah.
Too many people, they try something, they don't get results as quick as we want. Microwave society, they just stop doing it. You guys know one things we teach is follow up. You make an offer on a property, follow up. Some of my very best deals, the seller said no at first, and only because I followed up, I got to. I'm sure you've had the same thing.
And the brilliant thing on Property Filter, there's a section with follow-up properties, so it has them all there.
I mean, Guillaume's very open. He said they came and did my 3-day Mastermind accelerator, and what I teach on that, they put into the software. The software is based on that. The philosophy about finding motivated says the reason why I'm motivated, and that's why we pay for Property Filter now for all our masterminders and coaching classes.
It's a super biscuit.
It's great benefit.
It is a super biscuit.
You know what? I can't believe some people, this is dabbling, right? Some people might sign up for a month. I've got a property, I'm going to cancel it now. That's dabbling.
Yeah, it's mental.
Why would you not? You would need to build a pipeline.
Become an expert in it. Yeah.
You know, and that shows me a real scarcity mindset. You know, the amount they charge is pittance compared to
the value is incredible, isn't it?
It's like people who won't pay 25 quid to come to our pin meeting. Yeah. You know, they check these all the different emails that they've ever had ever. I know what you're doing. I can see you. Right. So and but it's 10 in a year.
It's a real shame.
To spend,
it's a real shame that because of their mindset.
Yeah, they're not good.
They're probably not going to be that successful. Yeah. And actually, ironically, they could do with coming to someone like Pin and getting a better mindset, coming on training and thinking differently, because I think that's what holds a lot of people back is their own limiting beliefs. and their lack of the right mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. You've done well, to be fair. I mean, I never thought you would, but like, I never thought you wouldn't. But I was worried that we might give surface answers at some points. But I think you've done.
Well, I try to go deep and trying to go honest.
I think it's difficult. I think it's difficult when it's somebody who's got a more public persona per se. Because you can't always you
maybe you've got an image to protect, but I like to think I'm fairly down to earth. When you actually get to meet me,
I'm fairly
down to earth. I think your image is what it is, though. Your image is you. You are because you do come across as down to earth.
Yeah.
But you are like a trainer, so you have a trainer. You have your trainer voice.
I do. Yeah.
Your Simon Says voice. But you are a genuine person. So it is good. So, but we did ask you to prepare a question.
Yes. So my question for you, and it's a bit of a loaded question, if I'm honest.
All right.
We've already touched on it a little bit, but look, you guys are incredible, and I take my hat off to you, and I'm really proud of what you've done. You should be very proud of what you do, and the business you do, and the people you're helping, and the way you're changing lots of lives as well. My question to you is, when you started Mastermind, which was, you did the 3-day accelerator, and that's enough for most people, but you came on Mastermind for whatever reason. Did you have any idea when you started Mastermind that you would be as successful as you are in your personal property and also the business you've created?
It's very difficult to distinguish at that point in time when you're starting.
Yeah.
I knew I had blockers. I thought a combination of me, joining Mastermind, learning a bit more, being in a network, learning a few more things that could help me unblock it. But initially I was just like, if I could just get a few properties.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, and that would give me the freedom. And then, I can go live in Australia for 6 months, UK for 6 months, whatever.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really too much of a deep thought pattern outside of that.
Yeah.
And then obviously as you go through Mastermind, as you get past it and you get to that initial financial independent scenario, you quickly realize that like, that's not actually what you want to do. You really enjoy the investing, the business that you learn, all those sort of things. And you're like, I can do this next thing further. And I think you get a lot of enjoyment out of that.
Yeah.
And then know that you can build it in a way that you still have the things that you were trying to achieve, the flexibility, but on the flip side, have something that's meaningful as well. That was learned after, not at the start.
How about you, Phil?
Absolutely not. And we had a conversation. If you remember that, we actually sat down and had a conversation, which was, because obviously what we've done is we've done these projects for ourselves. So when I joined Mastermind, my genuine thought process was, I'm just going to find a couple of motivated sellers who are going to sell me a couple of single lets, and I'm going to try and refinance those and get my money back, like you were talking about earlier, right? And it's going to use the equity from my home to do so.
Yeah.
I've done none of those, right? I've done none of those particular types of purchases because I started the program and there was too many strategies initially for me, and I'm a very simple-minded guy. I needed to pick one and run with it. I can't do too many things at once. So no is the answer, because if you look at the result at the start, if you think that what I thought I was going to get was, hopefully a couple of single lets, maybe get that up to maybe 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10, maybe get up to $3,000 a month from that. And then if you fast forward from 2020, we're only in 2025, right? So 5 years to financially free from my property income, a business that operates and provides what I would hope would be a very top class service to help other people achieve financial freedom, which we then leverage to buy further assets for ourselves for generational wealth purposes. If you looked at the actual economic impact, we worked out that we're impacting the economy by over £10 million a year. We have
105 people that are
105 people out
pretty much full-time work, or
that's on site. That's on site. That's not even in our team. We've got 19 full-time people in our team, and a business that hopefully gives back to the community in a way that we help them achieve their financial freedom.
Yeah.
But we sat there in a room and all we did was sat there in a room going, listen, this Mastermind thing is really great. And, we're really good working together. We have a joint venture. We've done really well on these things. Why don't we just do, the things that they don't teach you, they can't teach you. We can do that.
Yeah.
So why don't we just set something up literally that backs onto, once you've decided on your strategy, if your strategy is then to do these things, because development is so hard and so risky, it's faster, cheaper, and you'll learn more if you then partner with us.
Yeah.
Why don't we do that? the one thing that we had to have a conversation about was the lettings part, if you remember, because we were cool with this.
Because I was your mindset. I'm like, I don't. I'm not a property manager. I'm not a lettings manager.
We were cool with the deals, and we were cool with the projects because we knew we could do those parts. But the one thing that was missing in our market was this high quality mindset of the looking after it. So our mission isn't to help people achieve it; it's to help people achieve it and maintain it.
Yeah.
So, and that part is really challenging because we felt let down by our local agency, like lettings agency community, being totally open.
Yeah.
So obviously
most agents are not very good.
Yeah. Well, you know, and it's because it's a very low barrier to entry industry. Yeah. It's not particularly high in terms of like salaries.
And managing HMOs is fairly specialist.
It's challenging.
There's a lot of challenges.
It's specialist. Yeah. So the specialism of it is missing quite a lot. So we just thought, well, if we do it with an investor mindset and we focus on the things that are high quality, which is, and the thing that people used to sell to us, by the way, was compliance.
Right.
I'd be asked, oh, tell me why you're different. Oh, well, we look after all your compliance. So you don't just have to do that. Like, I thought it was insane. Is that not just stuff you have to do?
That's the bare basic.
Yeah, exactly.
We have
for me, coming from an industry where it was all like critical KPI focus, which is like a very heavy sales background.
Yeah.
I was like, right, well, all we'll do is we'll just focus the business on time to fill, void avoidance, maintenance fixes, and we'll set all of our business
strict routine inspections.
Yeah,
for maintenance
and to maintain it, and we'll set all of our KPIs up to do that.
And rent reviews, constantly reviewing the rents, putting them up.
You know, increasing people's wealth. Yeah. You know, so if we do the investor mindset, it was like, well, there we are. So if you just said, why did I join Mastermind? It wasn't to create this business which really helps people achieve and maintain financial freedom.
Yeah.
It was to get up to $3,000 a month from single less. Yeah. So in answer to your question, no. You know,
I'm not surprised with that because I think a lot of people come into Mastermind with a certain belief or an expectation.
Yeah.
And as I was saying in the first workshop, Mastermind is not just a property program.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And there are sometimes people who don't do a huge amount of property, but they change so much as a person.
Yeah.
And they completely then change the direction of their life for the better. And I actually find that more rewarding than property because, well, I didn't get property, but I have invested a lot in my own personal development. I continue to do so. And I think that's the greatest gift for people to invest in themselves because they become a better person for them and their family, right?
Yeah, it's the mindset shift and the opportunity that can come out of it as well that you don't initially think about or you can't work out a tangible result from, whatever.
Yeah, and if we said, you're paying tens of thousands of pounds for a mindset thing, no one will join, right? So you've got to have that tangible property income thing.
And you don't know who you're going to meet because I made a real conscious effort at the start of it to just try and talk to everyone and just meet up these calls
and you ended up with Phil.
And that would Phil. That's some other.
Tim was recruited. Right? He doesn't know this, right? Yeah, he doesn't know this.
It's very smart of you, by the way.
You weren't the first partners that I worked with, but other partners as well. That
absolutely.
And you don't even realize coming in as a project manager, you got skill set.
Absolutely.
You've got to benefit other people, and you don't even realize. And people that might live in another country who can't actually physically do it themselves.
That abundant environment where people do help each other.
Yeah.
And it's in corporates. You've all been in corporates, right?
Yeah,
in corporates, you don't really get that because if you help someone else too much, they might progress more than you. So it's a very alien environment, really. And I think you can only really, people say, what's Mastermind? And you can only really experience when you're in.
I think I read a post the other day, which was really good, actually, which I've said it on another podcast, which was property, if you do it in the community aspect, is the only industry where people will do really well and then tell everybody else how they've done that and then help their competitors to achieve the same thing. Right. True. So, which is when you think about it, it's like, well, actually, really. It's a strange environment. It is a strange environment, but so no is the answer. 10 million, effect on the economy, helping multiple people get to this financial freedom journey goal. It's been really a wonderful thing to have. So I have to, but it's all credit to Mastermind for and creating that environment for you, really.
Yeah.
And that's really what it does. It does create that environment, and I think that's why that bell curve moves better though, because you get the coaching, you get the time, the people do it together, and the community aspect is fantastic, I have to say.
Well, I want to thank both of you for trusting in me and in yourselves, making that big investment, coming on, making the most of the program. Look, we have some people do incredibly well in the first year. Most people do better in the second.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
because it takes a bit of time to get.
Property is not quick,
and it's not a quick thing. And as long as they don't give up, they'll get there eventually.
Yeah,
But thank you guys for coming in and being great examples of what you can achieve if you apply it and keep going.
Pleasure.
So,
thanks so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Right, so we'll wrap up. We've gone way over time, but I think Simon knows his hourly rate. He's billing us, so that's why we talked so much. Right, so thanks for joining us once again on the Financial Freedom Podcast. Don't forget to like or subscribe on whatever platform. It's free to do that, and it helps grow the podcast. If you want to get in touch with Simon, there's only one Simon Zutshi, I'm pretty sure. How would you like?
LinkedIn's a pretty good way of doing it.
Yeah, LinkedIn's
VA look after that for me, or come along to pin meetings and get the book and just get involved really.
Lovely. And if you want to get in touch with us, it's podcast at invest-prop.co.uk. And hopefully we will see you
and probably LinkedIn as well.
Yeah. There's only one Phil Bygrave.
We're quicker checking the LinkedIn messages than the Instagram messages.
Yeah.
So.
As we've learned recently. Yeah. But thank you for joining us once more, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.
Till the next one.
Thank you once again for joining us on the Financial Freedom Podcast, sponsored by us at Property Portfolio Building. If you want to get in touch with us about today's podcast or any of the learning topics that we've gone through today, you can email us at podcast@invest-prop.co.uk or get in touch with us with whichever your social media platform of choice is. If you think you would add value to us as a guest on this podcast, you can please get in touch and let us know what you would be able to talk to us about. Other than that, we wish you well on your financial freedom journeys. And once again, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.